Ladies and gentlemen, look who's with me today.
Ah! How did I get here?
It was an earthquake.
What's happened?
Unleashing from the crevices of the earth, it's Alex from the Tennyson.
I'm here, and I'm on a rampage, just like my shirt. It's Rampage.
Speaking of rampage, we're gonna rampage through these consoles, or should I say, devices that play video games that are inserted on cartridges or discs in disc-based media, but not Blu-ray.
Console.
I should have stayed quiet. Okay. Yeah, this was a request by Terry309 to discuss. Yeah, our lad.
My wife.
Yeah, I can't wait for the
Married.
That's the word I was looking for. Marriage of content.
Mary, please pick up the milk on your way home.
Yeah, Alex picked up some cookies, so I think you guys you got like some chemistry going on. Anyways, he wanted to know what are our thoughts on console overload.
What does that even mean? Well,
it's funny you should ask because I experience it regularly. Console. How many consoles do you own, Alex?
Oh shit. I don't know. That's a big
Start naming them.
Account. Okay, hold on. Let me go back from like oldest to newest. How about that? We'll go like step by step. I have Atari 2600, Atari 7800. I actually don't have an NES. I do have NES games, but I have a Retron for that. So from there it goes to I guess the Super Nintendo, like a Genesis. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. 64, Saturn, Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube, Xbox, Wii U, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Retron 5, and a handheld. I have like 3DS, Game Boy SP, the Game Gear. I have Game Gear, of course. I have a PlayStation TV. That's a thing that I own. A PSP. That's we're at 16, right? Or something like that. No. We're beyond that. I've lost count.
Me too.
What am I missing? I'm missing something.
Xbox One.
Is it Xbox One?
PS4.
The VR is part of the PS4.
Okay.
Atmosphere.
Aesthetic.
I don't know. I'm missing something.
Genesis,
and now I have
Saturn. Go ahead.
32X, but that's part of the Genesis too.
It's got wires.
Fuck ton of consoles.
Yeah, you have over 20.
So.
For me, I think it's... Well, I guess since you started including handhelds, it's interesting. I was mostly thinking home consoles, but I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to name them. So Atari, Genesis, Saturn, N64, PS1, PS2, Dreamcast. I didn't say that right. You don't know?
No.
Okay, I think I did not. So now I did.
Oh, you didn't say it. You didn't say it.
Okay.
So now you've said it.
Okay, you're right. I did say it. Now that I've said it, GameCube. Wii U. I have a Wii Mini, but it doesn't count. It's all boxed up. I'm ready to like just get rid of that thing. Switch, PS4, and that's just
Switch.
Home
consoles. I forgot Switch as well.
Okay, so you have X plus one.
I didn't say Switch.
Okay, 20 some odd.
27.
Handhelds. I have the Game Boy player. I have a GBA, but it's not backlit. I have a 3DS. I think that's it. So maybe like 12. Yeah, it's a fair amount. How do you... Well, actually, yeah. How do you feel about your current console collection?
It's a lot. I don't know if there's any more that I want outside of like obtaining like next generation stuff whenever it's time for me to do that. In terms of like older stuff, like I've thought about like a Master System, like maybe, you know, that'd be neat. I thought about like other things, but I don't know. It's just like there's so many, so many consoles.
Yeah, a lot. And it's almost like where do you find the time even just to play them or even hook them up? Which, it's my feelings that, when I have a lot of consoles, that I just feel like I'm too spread out. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah, I tend to focus in on on like a handful at a time. Like I think hooked up right now. I keep like my current gen stuff hooked up. Then I keep like I have like my Saturn 64 and I think Genesis out right now. But everything else I keep in storage. I keep in like totes in my in my storage space in my closet. So usually I would like switch them out.
That's an interesting strategy. I kind of apply that as well. We have a nice big TV here, and we have a media center, which has like holes in the back. So I keep my most modern systems hooked up to it because it's the big TV. Obviously, you're going to play the biggest, the most modern looking games on that TV. So I have like my Wii U, PS4. I actually keep the GameCube under there, but I've thought about taking it out. And the Switch, it's really easy to just kind of like set that up anywhere because it's just the dock, and then you just move the dock and the HDMI cables. So with the modern consoles, I don't have much of an issue, but once it comes to the other consoles that I don't consider the staples, I have a very hard time playing them. I try to do that focus thing too. Like I'll keep my N64 moving around the house, but then I feel like I'm neglecting my GameCube. PS2, I can't tell you last time I played a PS2 game. Does that ever happen with you with your console collection? That you start to neglect other consoles?
Yeah, definitely. There's been some that like some of my consoles I haven't collected or played in a while. That like I still have some sort of attachment, and I really don't want to get rid of them. And I do get rid of consoles. I sold off my 360, and I sold off a few other things that are just like stuff I don't really care about. But like, for example, I absolutely love my Dreamcast. I haven't got the thing out in like a couple of years. Honestly, it's been sitting in storage. It's like, like all my games are on a spindle over here, and I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe one day, but yeah, I get what you mean though. It feels like I'm like I have all these games, but like I can't realistically, play all of these.
Sure. I mean, it's an awful feeling getting rid of a console because like you can make a case for owning any of these consoles. Dreamcast, I keep my Dreamcast, and it's even an import model. It's not even like a standard American one, just to play Shiren the Wanderer one day when I learn Japanese. And at that point, I'm like, why am I holding on to this thing? And it's awful because, selling games are easy. You sell a game, you get it back whenever you want. Okay, that's fine. And, it's an easy profit margin. But with a console, do you attribute different feelings to consoles than you do games?
Definitely. For example, I own, like I said, the Atari 2600 and the 7800. And those are consoles that are very hard to hook up, very really inconvenient consoles. Like I have a CRT over here just for doing stuff with Atari games, and it's and it's kind of like why like I have a Retro Pi, Raspberry Pi thing. I can play whatever Atari game I want on that thing. Why am I keeping this console from from the late 70s that is a pain in the ass to hook up? But like going back and playing some of those old consoles for me, it sort of feels like you're like in a whole different experience, like rather than just playing some ROM dumped on a Raspberry Pi, playing it off of an actual Atari, it kind of like it brings you into that world. So that's why I keep consoles, because each console is kind of like its own different atmosphere.
I feel you. And you sent me my Atari. And, I joke around like, oh, yes, well, you sent me an Atari. But I play it. I play it from time to time, especially when I go home. And there is something very arcade authentic about it. You actually have arcade cabinets in your house.
I do.
And, that's a real treat in and of itself. Um, how do you manage owning all of these different setups, especially considering it's not like a computer. You get a computer, you just put it on a desk, you bundle your wires and you take it out, etc. But you have a bunch of consoles and you have a bunch of wires. I do too. You have a lot more. How do you navigate that?
Like I said, for my console storage itself, I have totes that I keep all the consoles and its power cords, AV cords, whatever it needs, all kind of like bundled in there with it, so I can find it pretty easily. Then I have the box of nightmares. This is where I keep all of my controllers, and I try to keep them untangled and nice. It never helps. They tangle themselves. I just put them in a box and put them in a closet, and then I'll come back the next day and everything's all tangled up. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who did this? Like, I didn't do this.
And sometimes you tangle it perfectly and then you try to unravel it and it's still in a knot. And it's like, I guess I'll just play with the controller in a knot today.
It's like, oh man, it's like, you know what? I really feel like playing, I don't know, the fucking PS2. It's like, well, let me find one of my PS2 controllers. I'm looking in there and it's like tangled up in like 3 other controllers. And I'm like, what is happening? And it's just like, that's such a pain in the ass. you know?
Thank God for wireless controllers.
Yeah. Thank God for wireless controllers. I could be like, oh, here's my Xbox One controller, But like, Jesus Christ, all the wires, man. I'm surprised half that shit even works.
Yeah.
So.
In your mind, what is the ideal number of consoles to own?
Most people aren't as eccentric as me or other, like, I guess gamers on at least on YouTube. You see it with like the big collectors and stuff like that. A lot of people only want a few consoles. I say, like, honestly, like, it depends on what you want to play, but I say like 2 or 3, a handful. Most of the modern consoles, like, what I love is I recently got an Xbox One, and that thing's great. Like, I can play a large amount of the 360 and the original Xbox library, along with the Xbox One library, and it's kind of like a game, like one console on a shelf. Same thing with the Retron 5. I know people have issues with that console, but I bought that. I don't use my Super Nintendo very often. I use my Genesis for 32X because I can't do it. But I played Genesis, 32X, Nintendo games on that thing, and it's like an all-in-one solution. So there's
Go ahead.
easy ways.
2
Sorry,
or 3? I'm shocked. I'm shocked that's your response.
For the average person.
Okay.
I'm not going to advise everybody to go out there and buy everything.
How about for yourself? If you had if you had to limit it one day, or like, I don't know. Where do you see your collection in like 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
What's my limit?
Whatever. You could have as many as you want. But what's the ideal?
Oh. See, I don't have an issue with, like, I guess, like, it'd become an issue with me if I just, like, didn't have a place to store them. Then it'd be like, oh shit, I need to get rid of some of this stuff. But until that day comes, it's no issue for me. If I had to limit myself and, like, pick, like, I don't know, 5 consoles to keep, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
I could try to do that.
We could pose that question. Before we do, I think I want to go into my ideal.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. It's fine. The weirdest thing, in my whole life, I've never owned all of the consoles of the generation at one time. And this is not the PS5 and Xbox Series X generation, but the Switch, PS4, Xbox One generation makes a very compelling argument to own all 3 of those things. And I almost couldn't see myself without at least 2 of 3 of those. And then I have such deep found nostalgia for retro consoles. I would have to say 2 retro, 2 modern. So 4.
I can see that. Like, because I'm trying to think of like what I use on a daily basis, and like I use my PS4 I use my Switch a lot, and here recently I've been using my Xbox One. But then I keep my Sega Saturn hooked up because I like playing Saturn. It's kind of like a very unique experience. And lately, I've been playing a lot of 64, obviously for button mappers and for other stuff. It's just because I like 64. So I could see that same argument going for myself. Is that like keeping a few retro consoles, but it's just effective like accessibility. It's like until a lot of these older games get re-released, like you can make an argument for not even owning a NES or a Super Nintendo because a lot of those games get put on the Switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of games on the Saturn and Dreamcast, those things don't come over a whole lot. You don't get a lot of those same experiences. So it's almost like for me, it's like, sheesh, it's like I'm getting rid of a whole ecosystem.
Sure. I know that feeling. We have access to the SNES games multiple ways, like on the Switch online service or whatever, and Wii U downloads, but I mean, who's using that for SNES games? I like my mini. Like my mini console is a beast, and it pretty much has the games that the Switch has, but I mean that thing is moddable. You can it's got restore points, and I put a couple games on my mini unit, and even though like it almost makes a case for mini consoles. We're talking about wires and everything. These things use phone chargers and HDMI cables. And I have to say, with the modern generation converting to HDMI, almost reduces this kind of clutter, this house clutter, like, cables everywhere. What do you think about the advent of modern gaming as far as console clutter?
Dude, I love my Switch. The Switch is the nicest console. I use my Switch to play a lot of retro games, a lot of games on the services, a lot of games that like other companies put out, like the Mega Man collections, the Castlevania, whatever, as Atari puts them on there, and then use it for indie games. I use it for the newer games. So it's just so nice because like I just have like this little dock. I can just pop it in. It's on my TV. Pop it off. It's in my hands, and I realistically I have so much to play on that thing. I could just have that, It's like a one-stop shop. And then the same thing with like getting like a Raspberry Pi or something. Like you could argue that's the way to go because you could play whatever you want on those things. It kind of like eliminates the need. And I know Terry's probably going to mention like playing on the computer or whatever. I'm not a computer guy. You're asking about consoles right now.
Yeah.
So, no, thank you. But it's very clean. So having to get out like even like the fucking Wii U, having to get out the Wii U and hook in the console, hook in the tablet, hook in the extra sensor bar, and string that up, and have another power source for the tablet, have another power source for the console, and a HDMI cord. It's just like, and then have to find a Wiimote. I want to play Wii games, and then it's a Wiimote and Chuck with a big wire across. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, I hope you got batteries.
It's ridiculous. So much.
The Wii U is a bundle. Not necessarily of joy, but it was a bundle.
Yeah. They definitely learned their lesson with the Switch. It's just like, it's one thing.
The Wii U now bundled with all cables and sensor bar and tablet and power supply.
My PS4 is the same way right now. Honestly, I have I have the original model PS4, which is just the 500 megabytes. And then I have whatever, not megabytes, gigabytes. Then I have I have a 3 terabyte external hard drive.
Yeah, me too.
Just hooked up. Then I have the PSVR with its own processor hooked up. And then the PSVR wires to go to the headset. So my PS4 looks like it's on fucking life support.
I know that feeling. I tried Chantal's wireless headset the other day, and you need the little adapter that you put into the PS4, and I also have the 3 terabyte expansion, and then you can't even charge the controller because you're already using your USB ports.
Yeah, both ports are done. You're like, oh shit.
Okay, now comes the fun part. It's desert island time.
Woo!
Your plane has crashed
We
and you can
are
only take 3 consoles.
three.
Yeah, three.
Okay, okay. Fuck me. Three.
Want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Um. Oh my god, this sucks. Okay, well, you're not on an actual island, like you're in your house or whatever, but you're downsizing and you have a limit of 3. So, I don't know. PS4 is amazing. I love that thing. I love that the PS4 controller is Bluetooth. It works with, your computer. The controller is wireless.
My Raspberry Pi.
Yeah. Oh, why do you say that?
Use it on. Sorry, no, the PS4 controller. I use it with my Raspberry Pi,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
and it works. It works really well. I just sync it, and it works right up.
Awesome.
So
I like
no
the
issue.
fact that it's wireless. I like the library quite a bit. It's really beautiful. It's outfitted for our modern TVs, and you do have access to things like the YouTube, and if you have Netflix, you can access it there. You don't necessarily need a smart TV, although most of these TVs are smart nowadays anyway. So I mean, I love my PS4. That's number one for me. What's your number one?
I'm trying to pick one of my modern consoles. If I had to pick one of them, I would say my Switch because it houses so much. Like I do love my PS4; it has great experiences, great VR experiences, but the Switch for me is so like I said, it's so easy of access. I love the fact that most of the wireless controllers, you can get USB controllers, you can get Bluetooth controllers for that thing, you can get tons of different controllers for that thing. It has a great library of Nintendo titles, third-party titles, indie titles, retro titles, and it's such a nice console. I play it all the fucking time because it's like the only console that I've really gotten into like handheld gaming because I can literally just play the same game I'm playing at home on my on the console itself. It doesn't feel like it's like shrunk down for handheld console. It feels like you're just playing the same thing because you basically are. So the Switch for me is like my perfect modern console.
Beautiful. Nintendo 64. Uh, it's littered with great single player adventures and party games. Um, you get great racing party games. You get great party games. I love Mario Party. And it was my first console, so like it's sentimental in a way. And I thought about it like to myself, could I sell my N64? I could, but I couldn't. If that makes sense.
I'm right there with you. I also picked the 64. I keep that thing out, and I got a large library of games, all fantastic. Well, most of them fantastic. DK64.
That's right up there. It's rare. It's the wear is rare. Continue.
No, yeah, no. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head there with the 64. It's just I love it. I love the fact that it has so many great first-person shooters, party games, platformers, racing games. It's just, and I'm not an RPG guy, so I'm not even hindered by that either. It's just like, it's a console that it was also like in terms of home consoles I owned, it was my first console as well that I owned. So it also has a spot in my heart, and I love that thing as well.
I appreciate you picking it, especially for a Nintendo 64 member. Go subscribe to the Button Mappers, guys, if you're listening. I get one more. Oh my god.
It's your third. It's your third, Teddy. The Atari Lynx. The NES, it has Cuckoo Land.
I'd have to say a Sega console, but it's very hard to decide between the two of the three
Pick
that I
mine.
own.
Don't pick mine. Don't you do it.
It is the deep breath. I'm like trying to picture like I have to sell the other two, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage selling the other two though? That's crazy.
Hope you're editing a drum roll in this part.
The audience will do that for us. Oh my god, man. It's very hard to decide.
You
I
want me
would
to go
tell you to
first?
go. So
Do you
so
want me to go
it's
first?
not the Dreamcast.
I agree there.
Okay.
Let me go first.
No, I want to just get this out of the way. Oh my god, though. It's the Saturn. I keep my Saturn.
Okay.
I keep the Saturn. Yeah. The Saturn. Well, first off, it's really not emulatable,
Right.
and although there's not a huge library, the games that are on there are a treat. Yeah.
Agree.
It's how could I bring myself to sell my Saturn? Like Panzer Dragoon, Knights, Darius Gaiden, Clockwork Knight, the Daytonas, the other racing games, Virtua Racing. The games, when you boot them up, are just fantastic. And there's a whole huge Japanese library out there, and you know I like my import gaming to really appreciate. So I guess those would be my three. Would be the 64, the Saturn, and the PS4. What's your third?
I also had the same predicament here of picking one of the Sega consoles. And you know what? Purely just because you picked the Saturn, I'm going to say Genesis.
Is that
I
why?
was
Were you going to say the Saturn?
No, I was trying to pick. Since you chose Saturn, I'll say Genesis. I mean, I could also argue the Saturn very well. You know, very good points. But the Genesis is my personal favorite console. So I think I kind of have to keep that one. Even though you know a lot of it is emulatable, I think the Genesis just kind of like has an attitude all its own, and it's got great platformers, great RPGs, beat 'em ups, you know, spaceship shooters, you know, arcade style games, and it's just an you know, like an all around, you know, fantastic 16-bit console. I've never been a big Super Nintendo guy. I don't know why that console. Like I like certain games on that console, but it never felt right. You know what I mean? I don't know why, and I think it's just because I'm such a sucker for the Genesis. Um, Say the Genesis. I love that
I
thing.
knew you would.
But I could also say Saturn. The Saturn's great. So.
So, would you, I don't know if I'm not surprised by this or not. You're okay picking the Genesis over the Retro bit, or the Retron? I mean,
Retron. It's cheating.
it's a console. It's not. It's a third-party console, but it's a console.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of feel like it's disqualified in some way because it's like an outside solution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the problem
At
of,
that point,
of
just pick a
owning.
Retro Pie.
Okay, I want to meet the guy that's like, I have this big problem. I have all of these Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Super Nintendo games, and nothing to play them on.
Hi, I'm Retron, and boy, do I have the console for you.
Nobody has that problem. You buy the Retron because you own all these consoles and you just want an easier way to play them. So that's why you buy it. You don't buy it because you're just like, where am I going to play all these other console games I have for some reason?
You heard it here first, folks. Without game libraries and
you can't play Game Boy. You can't play Game Boy Advance. Fuck, that makes a good point. Okay, Retron 5 it is.
Yeah. There it is. It's the deal breaker. You know what I realized? I limited myself to Sonic games on the Saturn and PS4.
You did.
What's on the N64?
Sonic 64. No, I mean on the Saturn. I mean you have basically all of the Genesis, the main Genesis games with Jam.
Mm.
You have 3D Blast, and Sonic R. So you still got a nice helping there. Then on PS4, you got Mania, Forces, Team Sonic Racing,
Oh yeah.
and then the Genesis collection. So there's that too, I guess.
Yeah.
So Spinball's on there. So you still got a good helping.
And you know what? It's easy to play those games on the PC as it is. Like I love my version of
Yeah.
Sonic 3 Air. That's terrific. And with my Genesis controller, like just setting it up would be fine.
So not bad.
Not at all. I could imagine it now. Except it would be hard to to manage selling the Switch, GameCube, and Genesis, and yeah, pretty much those three.
The Switch, GameCube, Genesis.
My favorite console, Switch Cube game Genosis.
Genesis. And I can even argue my Atari. I own like over 100 something Atari cartridges.
There's something beautiful about cartridges. I love just like
Yeah.
you know, you don't really appreciate some games when they're on the shelf. You know, like you can see the spine, but when's the last time that you really took down a game case and appreciate it versus a cartridge?
I don't know. I do that every once in a while. I like to go through my games. Like I love the Switch cases. I don't know why. They're just really small, compact, nice. They don't like the front has mainly all the artwork and then like a little Switch logo. So they're really easy to appreciate. And I like to go through those sometimes. And I went through the other day and I got all of the ones that I bought pre-owned. I got all of the stickers and shit off of them because I wanted to look really nice on the shelf.
Mm.
Every once in a while, I'll be like, I'm gonna look through what games I got.
Yeah, once in a while. I guess that makes it a treat then. I haven't flipped through a manual in like years.
What are those?
I forgot. Never heard of it. I'm a boomer
Yeah.
or a whatever.
A boomer. That's the right term.
Yeah, I know, millennial.
Do you ever take like PS2 manuals to school with you, or like GameCube or anything like that?
No.
I used to take PS2 manuals to school with me and try to like draw the pictures. Yeah.
The manuals
like-
can be really cool with the character descriptions. Like
Yeah,
I love
like the
F-Zero.
story.
Like they'll tell you about like who's Biorex, you know.
Dude, Wario World on GameCube has a breakdown of Wario's anatomy, a full map. It's like his body. It just like has like here is his muscle, here is his here is his heart. It's just like says like different facts about Wario, and I'm like, this is fucking cool.
Mm.
Or like some of them have like mini comics too. I remember that, like some of the little manuals that have comic books in them and stuff.
Atari had some really cool ones, like Yar's Revenge, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, the issue with a lot of the older consoles like Atari and Nintendo, Super Nintendo, 64 was that it was cardboard boxes, so they'll throw them all away, man.
Yeah, I swear I had boxes, but they're in the attic somewhere. Somewhere deep in the catacombs. I don't know, but there are spider cobwebs on them.
So yeah, console what would you call it? Console what clutter?
Console wars.
Overload? Console wars?
Yeah, no. I'm at war with my cons. No, console overload. Yeah, it's a problem, but I think it's one that we can navigate. Any tips for the viewers?
Just have fun. Yeah. that's what it's all about, man. It's have fun. Consoles are stressing you out like you're doing something wrong.
Thanks, Alex. I really feel belittled. It's like you said, do what's right, do what's fun. If it's not right for you to have a bunch of consoles, don't. And I have a bunch of consoles, but I know what's right for me. I think it's like, sometimes like your dad will tell you like your parents will tell you know your limit, right? Like when it comes to like drinking or something, right? Know what your limit is. Don't go above your limit. I think as long as you know your limits. If you can stomach 24 Nintendo 64 brews, Nintendo 64 ounce.
Most people don't have Sega Genesis cases on their office wall. So
Yeah. It's pretty professional. If I went to a conference and I saw that, I'd be like, I would be impressed.
yeah,
I'd be like,
I need to update them. I
I'm
need to
gonna
update
I'm
them.
gonna work for this guy. Yeah.
I need to update it with some new cases.
Clue Clue
Yeah.
Land and Spectrobes coming to a wall near you.
Dude, I should just in the next Turbo Zone video that I use the backdrop in, I should just have them all normal, except for like one of them is Spectropes on the Wii or something.
That could work. Guys, you heard it here first. Alex from the Turbo Zone. Thanks for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, check him out on his YouTube channel, Turbo Zone. He's got a lot of great content there. You can also check us out over on The Button Mappers.
Button Mappers! Come watch me and Spencer watch commercials.
Not on The Button Mappers.
No, it's on my channel, but
We could do that on The Button Mappers. It would have to be a special occasion. We'll watch video game commercials. Okay. I'm going to go play with consoles. All right. And now I'm alone. Do you believe in love after love?